There for discussion, let's bring in retired four-star General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst. Always good to see you, sir, and I'm so happy to have you on the program tonight because there are so many clarifications with respect to the comments that were made by the president overseas. Let's go ahead and start with this idea that he said in his speech that Putin cannot remain in power, and now he's saying essentially that it was sort of his moral take on the situation, but there's no policy change here. Listen. When a president is on the world stage and he's confronting somebody like Vladimir Putin, does he not have a responsibility to speak extremely clearly and not create this kind of confusion? Because regardless of what the press corps thinks here in the United States, Vladimir Putin could take this quite seriously.
Yeah, most definitely, Jackie. I mean, I actually thought the speech that he made was the best one he's made since the war started. I loved the part of it that was dealing with Russia. And certainly the unity in NATO. My one criticism of it, other than the flub, was I thought a little bit more identification with Ukraine military and Zelensky were trying to achieve militarily in terms of victory and running the Russians out of their country would have been more appropriate. But overall, I thought it was a good speech. But yes, I mean, now the president's given an explanation for it, and I think his explanation is a very honest one. He did feel a sense of moral outrage when it comes to Putin, just like we all do. But the problem is he's the president of the United States. He's making a major speech in a foreign capital during war, and he's bringing up the leader of the opposing force. And anything he's going to say about that leader is going to make international news. There's no such thing as a personal comment for the president of the United States. I mean, I was a little surprised by that, given President Biden's years of experiences. I think it's close to 50 years, you know, operating in and out of Washington, and 8 years being associated with the president of the United States very closely, and President Obama. So that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think it is personal moral outrage. We all feel that way. But he's the president of the United States, and as a result of it, I mean, this is what disturbs me maybe the most about it, is that I think you can correct the problems with our allies very quickly, and I'm sure a lot of phone calls were made. But it gives Putin a hand to play. He has made the point since his inception 22 years ago that the NATO has expanded into Eastern Europe at the expense of Russia. The United States is leading that. The United States has constantly threatened Russia and taken away our initiatives. This has been a narrative that he's played for 2 decades. And this gave him what? More ammunition in that narrative. You know, the president of the United States wants to remove me from office.
Right. Let's pause for a moment and switch topics for a second. This issue also came up regarding the use of chemical weapons, if Putin did choose to do that in this situation as war wages on for over a month now. President Biden saying today, well, he had said over the weekend the response would be in kind, which literally means it would be a reactionary response of the same caliber, you know, with which we received the attack. But now he's saying it would be significant. It wouldn't be chemical. What does that mean to you? What are the options there?
Well, I thought it was a terrible answer. I mean, I think one of the problems we have here is the president to this date has never really issued a policy statement representing the United States, and I think it should have came out of the NATO summit meeting. It should have been a NATO policy statement. What is their position on Russia's use of chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons? They've been waving those WMD capabilities in front of us for 30 days. And we still have yet to have a policy statement on it. And it was reduced to, he didn't make it, even in the presser, he didn't make it a part of his comments. It was in response to a question. And a more appropriate answer would have been that the use of chemical weapons is unacceptable.
Right.
We would not let it stand, the United States and NATO. We would take decisive, consequential action in doing something like that, and it would be Putin and the Russians who are expanding the war.
Yeah,
I mean,
General.
Some kind of meat. Now, you don't discuss options, certainly, in a public forum like that and tell the enemy what you're going to do. I agree with that.
If I may just shoot you a last question in the remaining time that we have real quick. As we watch this escalate, as we're having these conversations about chemical weapons, these talks will take place in Istanbul. Do you think there is any chance that diplomacy could work here, that peace could be negotiated?
Well, I certainly hope so. We have a stalemate, and that usually does lead to some kind of negotiations. But here's the pattern so our audience understands. Russia uses diplomacy and negotiations almost from the outset of the conflict, and we've been talking for weeks now. They use it as a ploy for their domestic audience to know that they're always looking for a diplomatic solution when truth is they're not. And you got to go into these negotiations with a healthy dose of skepticism about what is Russia's really intent here. The Ukrainians, listen, don't even doubt them. They know the Russians lie through their teeth. They know a lot of this is a ruse, and they're just delaying for time. But they know who they're dealing with, and they're not going to be overly optimistic about the outcome.
That was what I was afraid you were going to say. General Keane, great to see you tonight. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, great talking to you, Jackie. Thank you.
Thanks.